So I decided to go with this Amazon Basics fan for 3 reasons. Number 1, of course, it's going to help me stay cool by moving air around my place. Number 2, I like having that circulation and the white noise to help me sleep at night. And number 3, I like to pretend like I'm standing on top of a mountaintop taking in a $1 million view. So let's take a closer look and see how well it works. So as I get this fan in my hands, I can see that it's made of plastic and metal. Mostly plastic, but I'd like to see the interior of this as well, so we are going to take it apart and get it cleaned later in this video. But for now, let's check out the features of this fan. You'll see that for power, we have a 2-pronged plug, and that comes on a 6-foot cord right here, and they recommend that you don't run this underneath carpet, you don't put it behind any kind of appliances, and you don't leave it anywhere that someone is going to trip on it. And it says here it can be used in a 120-volt socket, and it only uses 35 watts of energy when it's on its highest setting, so that means it uses very little electricity. In terms of the size of the fan, the base is about 11 inches by just over 6 inches, with the unit holding the fan having a diameter of about 9.5 inches, and you can see the fan does rotate from pointing forward to facing upwards, and as such you'll see a different height from the bottom to the top depending on what position it's in. With the fan facing forward, it's about 11 inches tall, and with the fan pointing upward, it drops down to about 8.5 inches tall. The fan has 4 settings on the back. 0 means off, 3 being the highest speed, and down to 1 being the lowest speed. When placed on high, it has a lot of air movement. You can really get a good look at it by seeing how much my hair moves around, but also look at how well it moves my plants around, and then look at how well it moves these big curtains. Now, despite its relatively small size, it's really helped me bring in fresh air from the outside when placed on a windowsill, and it also helps me move cold air from the AC in my bedroom out into the kitchen and to the other side of my place. So I like to leave this on the number 1 setting for white noise to help me sleep at night. And it really does help. It's not super noisy, it's just enough to block out light street sounds, dogs, neighbors, things like that where I live on a small city street. And I would say that it's mostly wind noise. There's only a very, very, very slight motor noise that honestly you can't even really hear unless you are looking for it. Now, if the first setting isn't loud enough for you, you could always just set it up to number 3 and use that as a white noise machine as well. That's going to do a great job blocking out really noisy sounds at nighttime, but it's not so loud that during the daytime, the 3rd setting is going to disturb you doing other things. So you can see inside here that these fan blades are a little bit dirty. I want to get them cleaned off. Let's do that. So to get started, we're going to need a screwdriver with a Phillips head on it. And there's a little hole right back in here that we can use to unscrew this back plate. And that screw will just fall right out once it's loosened up. Now we can flip it over and move this marker over to get this unattached. Now we just pull back to get this grill off. And there you go, really easy to separate it. Now let's get it cleaned with a rag. The grill here you could actually take and just rinse off under warm water if you wanted to do that, and just spray it down and that would clean it off. I'm gonna go do that. And there you go, I just sprayed her down, looks really nice and clean. I'm just gonna let that dry before I reattach it and plug it in. Now for this, I'm just gonna wipe it off with a damp rag. Just make sure that you don't do this while it's plugged in. Mine's not plugged in, so let's get started. I've been using this fan for a couple months now, and you can see that it's got quite a bit of dust and hair on it. So let's just get that off there by giving it an easy wipe. Don't even have to press too hard. And I want to get behind these blades too, but just be careful of that motor that I'm not getting it wet. That's looking pretty good to me. Now I'm just going to wipe off the exterior and make sure that the rest of it is nice and dust free. And there you go, super easy to clean. Let's get it put back together real quick. Just reattach the grill in the opposite way that we disconnected it by placing this triangle here in line with this line over here. Pressing on. There's 4 different places to click on the inside. You'll find them. Once you have it clicked on, now we can rotate it back to the locked position. And then we have to reinstall that screw in the back. Some people are wondering if you can mount this to the wall. You definitely can. Check out these brackets right here. All you got to do is just put some screws into the wall and then you can mount it right on those. So I think this fan's going to be really good for anybody who needs help circulating air or using a white noise machine but doesn't want a gigantic fan taking up a lot of space in their house. And obviously it's also really great for staying cool in the heat. You saw how much air this moves on the highest speed. It's really a great product for how small it is. And if there's any negatives to it, I did read that some people were hoping that it had a reverse function to it so they could draw out air in the opposite direction, and it doesn't have that, but I think I found a solution. Just flip it around.